Hello, hello. I am going to add Bryan onto this. So let's see. Okay. Hi, guys. How's it going? Hello, hello. Andrew, good to see you. I'm adding Bryan onto this, so he should be on in just a minute. And we're going to be talking about different things that he's used, different tips, and how he's prepared himself to become an IFBB Pro, and how he basically lives his life day to day. You're so sweet. Thank you. Hey, how's it
What's
going?
up?
Good to see
Uh,
you.
hey, you too.
Hey, Kayla. Hello,
All
hello.
right, so we're ready to go?
Yes, definitely. So,
Uh,
if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and letting us know where you're currently at.
yeah, what's up, guys? My name is Bryan. I am a personal trainer. Recently became an IFBB Pro. Uh, I am I guess I can say now, a bodybuilder. I feel like I can finally call myself an actual bodybuilder
Oh, stop.
after getting the pro card. Yeah, just a trainer, coach. Goal is to get to the Olympia one day and just change some lives along the way. Yeah.
So IFBB bikini, or sorry, I say IFBB bikini. That's my goal. That's my goal. IFBB bikini, IFBB Pro. Can you say what that is actually about? Because I think a lot of people don't even understand what that means. And also say, don't be modest because I know you and you're always so humble. But really, you won your pro card at Amateur Olympia, which is basically the hardest one to do for the entire year. So talk about that a little bit. What does that actually mean, and what was your process to get to there?
So the IFBB Pro, that's the whole bodybuilding federation. So for people that don't know, so it stands for the International Federation of Bodybuilding. So that's as basic as I can start with. Um, So that pretty much just means that you are now a professional in bodybuilding and you can now compete at a professional level and compete for the Mr. Olympia. So the Mr. Olympia is the biggest bodybuilding show in the world, and if you win that, then you become the best in the world at the sport. So that's pretty much it. Now, as far as how I became a pro, so I did the Amateur Olympia, which is an international um, pro qualifier. So there's a few throughout the country. I am not sure the exact number of total I'm sorry, pro qualifiers. I think it's around the 12, I think it's around 12, maybe 14 shows a year throughout the US. So the main two international shows are the Olympia Amateur, the and the Arnold Amateur. So which are the only two I've competed in, and those are pretty big shows because they're open to everyone, internationally. So you see a lot of people from other countries. Like I was backstage and there were people that didn't even speak English. They were from like Brazil, from like Asia, from Europe. So yeah, that was pretty cool. As opposed to usually whenever you compete here in the US, everyone just from the US, the US citizen, they all, speak English. So I think that's cool. There's so much talent in other countries. It's crazy.
They
Like,
are. And
yeah.
like what you said too, I remember being backstage for Amateur Olympia, and it was like there's no translators. So anyone from like another country, or
Actually,
maybe there was for
there was
you, there
someone. There
wasn't
was
for us.
one for Spanish
Okay.
people, but that's it.
Yeah, there wasn't, and they were like talking in Spanish or, whatever language, and they were basically like, are we supposed to go on? Are we supposed to do this? Like, what are we doing?
But honestly, even if you did speak English, it's like there's so much going on backstage. I was confused. I was like, when are we going up? Like the show took forever. Show started at 8 a.m. I went up at like 2 or 3 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So
a long
you,
day.
okay, you won your division for or class for Amateur Olympia, and then you had to go against, because it's not just like winning your class, like
Yeah.
you have to like win, you basically have to win the whole show is like the way that I like to determine it, is because
Yeah.
there's only so many cards that they give for the show. It's extremely, extremely competitive.
Yeah, so most national shows, they get a pro card for every top two in every class. They give a pro card. So like let's say there is like 8 different classes. There's 16 pro cards given out for just one category. So like that could be just bikini, another 16 for like men's physique, another 16 for like classic physique. So yeah, that's in this one in particular, there were only 3 given out. So the top 3 in the overall for men's physique.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I had to place first in my class, and then I got second at the overall, missed the overall by 1. So we still get the pro card.
Yeah, you got the pro card. And some of that, like what I think is super interesting too, is I don't know if you've noticed this with other pros that have gone on and become, very successful in the pro league, but sometimes that second place winner of the overall or whatever the case is ends up like really going at it hard in terms of like the pro division and just winning and really escalating throughout their progress.
That's the goal, honestly. I'm already like even before the show was like the day of the show, like even on my way to Vegas on the flight, I was already thinking about what am I gonna do the next few months after the show to progress. Like I was literally like planning out my workouts for the next few months.
So you're
Yeah.
already motivated for going into 2023.
Oh yeah. Right now I just had my little mental break from dieting and stuff, and like my body feels pretty good right now. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Something you didn't mention. So you won amateur, your class in amateur Olympia, and then you
Mhm.
also got second in the overall, and so you got a pro card. But prior to that, you
Oh.
had to like do a qualification, and then you
Oh yeah.
also competed not only in physique, but classic
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So that was like very different because in a lot of ways they have distinct kind of
Yeah.
characteristics and so if you don't mind just expanding on that.
Oh yeah. So I there's a few reasons why I wanted to do classic, and but okay, let me backtrack. The reason why I had to do a show, I didn't want to, honestly. I so I mean, you know this too, like
Hmm.
the international shows, you never really had to qualify for. You would just show up. But this year, I don't know if it's this year or last year, I don't know.
This
But
year it was
this
like
year,
I remember because I had like a panic moment. It was
I
like
remember,
four
yeah,
months ago and I
I
was like,
remember.
what the hell?
I found out like 30 days before, and I was like, oh shit. And then the next show was like, um, no, I don't remember exactly what, I think it was 4 weeks out. And then I had to do the show like 3 weeks before or something. And so yeah, I mean, we were already like ahead of schedule in a way. So this was also like my longest prep ever. So it was like almost it was 27 weeks. So that's, yeah. And so I was already ahead of schedule. And I did the classic because I just wanted to, I wanted to be able to say later in the future that I've competed in classic. I think it was for a few reasons. One, I wanted to be more knowledgeable for my future clients, that the ones that, because I am getting into coaching clients for preps. So I've done it before, but I feel like I didn't really have the certification. I feel like being a pro kind of gives you some sort of like credibility when it comes to coaching people. And two, I just wanted to have that. It's almost like a certification for trainers. That's the way I saw it. I wanted to have the knowledge too by actually competing in the classic physique show. So I went through the whole thing. I went through like the posing. I had to hire a coach for posing strictly, and for I just had to learn how to like make weight for a show. Never really had to do that in men's physique. There's no weight requirement, which was oh my God, that was not easy for me. I was like a week out or 10 days out and still like 10 pounds over the stage weight.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, that was
Oh
rough.
my gosh. Were you doing like tons of cardio or something, or what were you
Bro,
doing?
I was like doing almost 2 hours of cardio, hour and
Holy
45.
crap.
Yeah.
And what were you doing for cardio? Because my
Um,
cardio, I think, is different than yours.
so for me, it's whatever I have access to. I have a bike at home, so I would do that. Or if I'm at the gym, I would do the Stairmaster. And if my knees were killing me, or if I wasn't feeling 100%, then I would do the treadmill. So that's kind of my priority. So at home, bike, Stairmaster if I'm good, and if I'm not good, treadmill. So
And then that's in addition, so 2 hours of cardio in addition to, because you live in New York,
yeah,
so you
yeah. So
don't
there's
drive.
yeah,
You
I do a
like
lot of steps a day.
you
I
take a lot
walk,
of steps into
I
it too.
walk everywhere. Yeah, for sure.
Back was that a year ago or how long ago was that? Like that I was in New York and we
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
went
it
to.
was. Was it last year? I think it was last year.
Yeah, I think it was like a year ago.
Yeah.
But I kind of, I've lived in all different areas, but I was on a contract in New York. And so me and Bryan met up for a gym session, and I got to kind of experience what he does day to day. And it's so much walking. Even just to get the train transfers and stuff like that, you still have to walk quite a bit.
Yeah, going up and down the stairs, carrying my book bag, carrying your meals. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. In the cold.
In the
Yeah.
cold too. And I remember it was like pouring rain when I was there too. So it was like just one thing after another. So
Yeah.
you are a pro now. Congratulations, which is
Thank you,
so
thank you.
amazing. So many people really look forward to that and work towards it. And I do feel like what you were saying is true. Like it's very distinctive. It's a title that like you really have to earn. You have to
Oh
work
yeah.
so hard. You have to be dedicated. It's year after year, putting in the work, all that kind of stuff. And it is a different level, in my opinion, being a personal trainer, but being an IFBB pro, like it is a different type of knowledge and
Yeah,
experience,
yeah.
I would say for sure. But you came here when you were 11 years old, didn't speak any English.
No, I did not.
And like a lot of people, if you look at Bryan's page, you will see that, I know, like what is that comment? If you look at Bryan's page, that you'll see that like he's really in shape and he's really obviously muscular and he's worked hard in years for that. But he started off as like a very skinny guy, I would say. I mean, I've seen a couple pictures that you've posted from when you started, and it was pretty incredible the transformation that you've made from then to here. Um, so if you want to talk about that a little bit more, that would be great.
Yeah. So let's see. I mean, I started working out when I was like 15 years old. I went through some phases for sure. Um, so when I was young, I was really chubby at a certain point. Like okay, let's start around like 11, yeah. I was that's actually how I kind of got into fitness, kind of. So when I was like 11 or 12, I was so overweight that the doctor literally told my mom, it's like, if he doesn't like start working on his diet now, he's gonna die early. Like, yeah, literally, like my cholesterol was through the roof. Like,
Wow.
my blood work was just not good. And I was like, what, 4'11" back then, 150 something pounds.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
just to give you some perspective, I was 153 for my first show at 20 years old. So
Wow.
yeah. So you should not be the same weight as a
As
12-year-old and as a 20-year-old.
yeah. Did
Um,
anyone like it? Because I mean, you could work out and you can make changes, and I've known people who have been able to be successful at that. But I think there's a different level of that's involved with competing. So like, how is it that you went from this overweight kid, and then you were like kind of the skinny kid, and then you built all this muscle, and then decided to compete? Like, what is it that you went through, mentally and physically, and anyone else that contributed to that?
let's see. Honestly, I kind of don't remember anymore, to be honest. But somewhere along the lines of like, okay, first time I started working out was because I joined this boxing gym around my house. So it was like a gift membership from someone, and I it was a free membership, so I was like, you know what, might as well use it. So I just showed up, and like I think starting in that particular boxing gym, not even lifting weights, it was just like it was a gym where it and okay, so a few things. I never did well in sports. Like even in high school, I tried doing sports. I made it for track and field, and soccer. Quit within the first 2 weeks because it was too hard.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
I
just like
mean,
too hard, like
it
this
was too
when
hard.
you were like overweight, or this when you were skinny, or when was this?
This was when I was 12, so I was in high school at 12 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated early when I was, so I like by 16 I was already in college. Um, So when I was 12, I don't know if it was the age difference or what, or maybe I just didn't work well with teams, which is why boxing was such a good thing for me because it's such an individual thing. It's like I don't have to rely on anyone. Anyone doesn't have to rely on me. It's like it's just me and this punching bag, you know, and someone tell me what to do to the punching bag. So that was one of the hardest trainings like I've ever done. Even to this day, they went in like those. Yeah, they're not around anymore, but they kicked my ass. And I was 15 at the time, so learning that at a young age, as a first thing, like that's your entry point into fitness. That kind of makes everything else easier. So like,
What is it that changed though? Because you said like you did track and you said soccer or what was it?
soccer, yeah. I think it was
Track
the
and,
fact that it was an individual thing as opposed to a team thing.
okay.
Yeah, I
But
was
it
just
still
never.
was hard. So
Yeah,
like
it was.
there's a point when you like work out and stuff like that, and I think it takes time, but you have to like build this like endurance and this
Mhm,
mental strength that you go through. Like basically you're like, this is hard and it sucks, but I like have to get over this in order to progress. And
mhm.
so like I'm assuming you felt that in track and soccer and then you quit
Oh
and then
yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna do boxing. Like how did you, which boxing,
So
yeah, that seems so much harder.
like I was 12 at the time, and then by the time I did boxing, I was 15. So I think 3 years kind of like made me forget about that experience, and also the fact that the boxing thing was literally like a block away from my house. Like it was like a 3 minute walk to get there. So that kind of like helped. If you're lazy and your gym is like a 3 minute walk from you, there's like no excuse. It's like you just go. And plus the pressure of like someone gifted you a membership to that. It was actually my mom's like boss or something like that. And
Hmm.
like, I'm like, there's this pressure now. There's like, shit, she just bought you a membership. You have to go, like.
Yeah.
So I started there, and damn, they even made me spar with some like older guys. Like I was sparring some people that were like in mid 20s, and
Oh,
like,
that
yeah,
must be
obviously,
scary. I don't know. I would be scared.
I mean, they weren't like. They were pretty cool. Like they weren't like just like beat you down. They would just take their time, try to teach you. But no, I got my ass kicked a few times for sure.
So you went and did boxing, and then how did you transition to bodybuilding?
When I was 18, I was finally able to go to the gym. Before then, they wouldn't like every gym that I would try to go to. Um, like I would go to what's that one? Oh, YMCA. There we go. But it was you always needed your parent to go with you because I wasn't 18 yet. So that was kind of like a it would just wasn't allowing me to kind of even fully immerse myself into that environment. Um, Once I turned 18, there was this gym around my house, and which I found out later on that like I found out about this gym. It's called Richie's Gym in Ozone Park. A lot of people might know if they're here. Um, that's like my first gym. I freaking love that gym. It was the most, maybe not the most, but it was like old, dirty. Like you felt like it was a jail in there, and like that was my like gym environment. I freaking love that place to this day, just because of that's like if you go there, well at the time because they closed down now after COVID. Whenever you went to that gym, it was like you were there to work. You weren't there to socialize. You weren't there to like just talk around. It was either you lift some heavy weight or someone's gonna make fun of you, kind of thing. So yeah.
Did you know anyone that competed before you competed?
No, it
You
was it was
didn't.
just me. It was just me listening to all the motivational videos and things like that.
Okay.
Like, yeah. So like at some point, I don't even remember exactly when. It was maybe like it was definitely when I was around 18, like midway, like 18 and a half, I want to say. I was just listening to so many motivational videos, and a lot of these were like back then, motivational videos were mostly by like Arnold and like how he was talking about, um, he came to this country and he competed and he made something out of himself, and that kind of mindset kind of like just motivated me to work a little harder and work a little harder. And then at the time, men's physique was starting up. So all these guys like Christian Guzman or like Steve Cook, I don't know if you remember, you know, the OGs back in the day.
Hmm.
Um, I would look at them and I'm like, that's not impossible. That's not really that. Like I can probably do that. So just started working out. I had already had the thought in my head to compete. So like I also started saving up back then for a coach because I was like, I have no idea where to even start with this thing. And then when I was around 19, I started working at a gym. And in that gym, I met an IFBB pro, the first pro I've ever met in my life. His name was David Pacheco. And he was local. He was from Queens. And he made it to the Olympia. He got sixth place at the Olympia in men's physique. So
Wow.
I just saw it as a sign. I'm like, well, I have this thought in my head of wanting to compete. Who else gets to meet an IFBB pro at their gym, especially in the category that you want to do, especially in New York? especially where I was at in like Ozone Park and like that
Yeah.
area, there's not really many pros. And this guy just showed up out of nowhere. This to this day, I don't know what he was doing there, but like, because he's not even from there. He's really from like, well, I think now he's from in towards Long Island area. But anyways, yeah, I just asked him who coaches you, who's your coach, and then his name was Chris Villa. I linked up with him on Instagram and met him, and then he just started from there. I
That's
have the
awesome.
same coach to this day. Yeah.
That's great. Um, so when you are coaching someone else, like, do you think that like same accountability kind of is that what really motivated you? And then do you think that kind of was passed on with the people that you coach? It's like, okay, figuring out a way to make it so there's no excuses where it works within your schedule or works within your route, and then also being accountable to someone else.
So when it comes to the coaching, if someone is competing, I'm pretty strict. I'm as strict as I would be with myself, because I want that person to win their show, like they're paying me for a service and their goal is to win the show. So I'm gonna be strict with them. If the goal is just lifestyle for the most part, I'm a lot more flexible because I understand that the priority, yes, the goal is to change your body, but the priority is to keep you consistent because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna get you the body. So, a body doesn't change within just a few weeks or a few months. It takes a really long time. It takes a few years.
It,
And if I can get someone to keep up with their habits and be able to enjoy that lifestyle for like a few years, then my job is done. Eventually, whether we didn't change their body with me, eventually they'll change their body, or at least I'll help them in when they're like 70 years old, in some way, shape, or form, So that's the way I see it. But I still want to change their bodies, So
yeah. Well, you want them, what I get from you and just like knowing you too, like you want them to be successful.
yeah, for
And,
sure.
that's like kind of your personality is you're always like willing to help someone else out and share your knowledge, no matter who it is, which is awesome. And like you said, time, which I think is super important. Like a lot of people will think that, oh yeah, I can just jump into whatever plan and I'm going to be totally different in 10 to 12 weeks. Um, but it's really not the case. Like it really takes time to develop the muscle and maturity. And also, I think that is helpful for other people to know because then they can kind of give themselves a little bit of leeway.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah, like some understanding in it. And you said you started weightlifting at what age?
18.
18. So, but before that, 15, you were at the boxing gym.
Right. So, oh yeah, I skipped a few things. So between 15 to 18, I did a few things. I started with boxing. Um, then I moved on to CrossFit. Did a lot of yeah, like CrossFit workouts. Um, and then after that, I did martial arts. I did some karate, and that kind of kept me a little. That's when I really became a little competitive. I actually competed in martial arts. I did some. I remember
Oh,
I did a
yeah.
competition for. So I don't know if you're familiar with like the martial art world, but in karate
No,
in particular, there's like you ever seen people like with like weapons? So there's a form or in karate called kata, and that's just kind of like predetermined movements that you would do in like a period of time, like a minute, for example, and you think of these predetermined movements, and it becomes almost like an art form of like it is fighting, but it's almost like an like a dance, and then
hmm
you make the entire like all these movements that you came up with your head and you kind of make it into like a show, like a performance, and it's very it is there's a lot of precision going on. There's a lot of like power that goes into it, a lot of emotion that goes into it. Um, so yeah, it's like this little like performance with weapons, pretty much. I got like third place in that if I'm not mistaken, and then I also in fighting, I got like second place. So
that's
I was
awesome.
yeah, I was like 18.
So 15 to 18, you started doing things to just basically make you healthier. And then from 18 to you just had a birthday. So you're
Yeah,
27
27. Yeah,
and you got your IFBB Pro card. and now you're a professional bodybuilder. So that's not like a little time. Like that's a long time to
Yeah, yeah,
be doing that. And you've been
for
competing
sure.
for how long? Like actually
My
competing.
first show was at 20, so 6 years. Well, now 7 years, I guess. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So anyone who's like trying to get into weightlifting or even just trying to make like a healthier lifestyle and make changes for 2023 or whatever the case is, whatever it is that their motivation comes from, what is it that you would recommend, or can you like share some of the things that made a significant difference in your life?
There's a few, but just to stay very general, start small. Start with small changes. So if you're a complete beginner to the gym, just start small, do what you can, set yourself a, a goal, nothing too ambitious, but still being realistic with your schedule. So like, and don't be afraid to ask for help, meaning if you can afford it, hire a trainer. If you can't afford a trainer, because I understand it is a luxury to have a trainer. So if you can't afford one, just know that there's so much information out there. And a lot of even these trainers have programs that are a lot more affordable. There's so many options that you have available for you, even if you don't have the money. You just need to put some effort. And then if you're able to be consistent, your body's just gonna change. There's no way around it. So start small. If you can make it to the gym 3 times a week, go for it. If you can make it once a week, start there. Just go once a week. If you don't know what to do, go to walk on the treadmill. Like start literally with just a 20-minute walk on the treadmill. It doesn't have to be an incline. Just what you want to build in the beginning is the habit of just literally getting to the gym. If you can start there for the first few weeks, the first 6 weeks, you made it to the gym now. Now let's see, well, what can we do? You go to the weight section. Okay, let's do something. If you're a beginner and you're going to a gym like, I don't know, like Planet Fitness, for example, I know a lot of people make fun of the 30-minute circuit workouts that they have, but honestly, it's actually very helpful for some people that know nothing about fitness. They have this like, they have like this, it's this little section with like 10 machines there. And the point is you do every machine for like 10 reps. And by the time you're done with all the machines, it should be like a 30-minute workout. I mean, if you do like 2 sets with every machine, it should be a 30-minute workout. Something like that. That's amazing for some people that know nothing about fitness. That's a really good way to start. Another option is things like classes, for example. A lot of gyms have either like weightlifting classes, and when I say weightlifting, I mean like the little weights at the gym. And you can take those classes. Those are really good too. There's people that may not even like the weights. They like Zumba. If you like Zumba, go dance all you want. There's things like sports. There's swimming. There's MMA. There's boxing. There is rock climbing. There's so many things. Sign up for a class. So I think if people can start that way, finding what you like, start small and be consistent. I think that's a really good way to start. So.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. A couple things that like we had talked about before that I think might be helpful for people too is like you spoke about the books or podcast or Audible, whatever it is that
Oh
you're
yeah.
into, just like a couple titles that I think I would agree with, and some that I haven't heard that I'm definitely going to look into now. If you want to just share those, and that I think those might be helpful for people too.
So let's see, podcast. Damn. This year I got like, so usually I have a mix of like I try to listen to a little bit like business stuff. I try to listen to a little bit of like health stuff, a little bit of bodybuilding stuff. But this year I was so into the bodybuilding thing. It was just like all bodybuilding. So um Ford's podcast, the Real Bodybuilding Podcast, it's just very entertaining. And all they talk about is bodybuilding. So I freaking love that show. There is Think Big Bodybuilding. Um, and they have a few they have a few people in that podcast, so it's not like just it's almost like they have different channels within the podcast. So and they have like these coaches that are experienced, and like they've been doing it for a really long time, and all they talk about is training, supplements, Q&As with these coaches. So um I personally like to like really get into the bodybuilding world when I'm competing, because You know that phrase, you are the five people you hang out around with the most. So
Hmm.
you know, my five closest friends aren't really pros or aren't really trying to get to the Olympia. So the best thing I can do is kind of listen to the people that are, you know.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if Chris Bumstead is putting out a video, I'm gonna watch that video, you know, because I'm trying to like just get a little bit of that energy into me, you know, just learn a little bit from that guy. He's doing
Yeah.
something right, you know. And the same thing with like coaches that coach these people, you know. Sometimes a lot of these athletes don't put themselves out there, but their coaches might, you know. So there's a lot of interviews with these coaches in those podcasts, which is extremely helpful for me. You can always learn something. Plus, there's so much like hidden knowledge in like these like 2 3 hour podcasts. So you kind of have to go through the whole thing to gain like 30 seconds worth of knowledge,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But you know, that's at this point, any little advantage that I can get, I will take. And if that means listening to something extremely knowledgeable from or extremely valuable from someone knowledgeable, I will listen to that 2 hour
Yeah.
podcast, you
It's
know.
kind of that rule, like the 1%, like always like trying to strive for like 1%
Yeah,
better day or each week or whatever it is, like
yeah.
just a little bit more. Is there like I've had a lot of even specifically guys that will message me and they'll say like, hey, like what supplements should I use? And I am pretty consistent with what I use, but I know for me, like I kind of stopped using creatine for a while and now I'm starting to use it again for like off season type of thing. So is there something like creatine or I like glutamine a lot. I always harp on that. But something that you did differently in the last year or 2 years, or something that you would recommend in terms of like a supplement that you really
In terms
like?
of supplements, oof. Um, the last few weeks in particular, if we're talking about over-the-counter supplements, um, yeah, the PEDs, I feel like I can't really talk about that too much. But over-the-counter supplements, I am playing around a lot with my pre-workout stuff. So, okay, let's see. Specifically, like the last few weeks, I've been really just like because okay, well, just to give you some background info. When you're in prep, you're extremely depleted most of the time. So you're looking for like you can't just hit myself. You're good. When you're in prep, you can't add calories to improve your workouts, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
best thing you can do is kind of focus on everything else. So for me, it was the hydration, the supplements. So something that we were doing a lot this time around was with my coach. It was getting carbs before my workout, like right before,
Mm-hmm.
during my workout,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then I personally started focusing a little bit more on my hydration. So like things like drinking like at least 30 ounces of water right before my workout. So regardless of what I drank throughout the day up to that point, I would drink my little 30 ounces. So there's this one supplement that I got on Amazon that's I've been recommending to literally like all my clients. It's and friends. I don't have the name of it. I don't know, somewhere in this room.
You can message me, and then like when I post
Oh yeah,
this, then I'll put it in there and
yeah,
say,
sure.
yeah,
So if you want to give it a shot,
yeah.
it's just a really good blend of different minerals, um, and it makes a huge difference. That I don't know if you're
Makes a huge
familiar.
difference in what way do you mean? Like in terms of like
Performance,
strength or focus or like what?
performance. So
Okay.
like we all think that the main driver for performance is food, but it's actually one of the last things. It's actually hydration, the main one. Um, and then there's a few other supplements in here that I was using as well. So like Pico 2 pre-workout, like 2 grams every day. It's also I'm a fan of Pico 2, and for those of you that don't know, Pico 2 is just a blend of different mushrooms that helps with nitric oxide. So it also acts as a um, kind of a nootropic actually, and manage cortisol. So it's it's great. What else?
It's
What else?
interesting that you say nitric oxide because I definitely feel like out of the supplements, like when I look for a pre-workout or when I'm looking for, supplements or whatever, if it has that in there, I definitely like will be more inclined to get it. So one that I recently have been using is like Steel Pump. I don't know if
Oh,
you've ever tried that.
really?
Yeah.
At the show they gave me like a sample. but
I
I
got
didn't.
that's how I got
You
hooked. I
guys,
got a
that's
sample and I was
funny.
like, this stuff works.
Does
It's
it? Oh,
actually
damn.
good.
I it's funny because the reason why I am getting into like more of the pump products now is
Yeah.
because of the shop, the supplement store that I buy my supplements from. It's like close by to my house, and they were having like a sale, so they gave me like this free like pump product, and it was actually by a brand that I've like. It's like an up and coming brand, and the ingredients in there, I was just like, what the hell are these things, you know? And they're like, well, this particular brand was just like adding like new ingredients, so like. Most companies nowadays are putting ingredients that are like true and tried, and like they have, there's research behind them. But then there's like a few other companies that are taking a little bit more of like a risk, I want to say, because it's always risky when it comes to supplements. I don't have my own supplement company, but I've heard stories of like, you can you can invest all this money. Well, with any business, it's risky, really. But you invest all this money in a supplement, doesn't do well, and like, you just the supplement company is done.
Hmm.
So I was just trying it out, and huge difference when it comes to pumps. Um, as a bodybuilder, that's the feeling you're going for, the pump. So whenever you don't have that much food in your system,
It's hard
hydration.
for sure.
So like that's the main thing that I was going for. Let's see what other supplements. In terms of performance, those are the main ones, honestly. I'm looking at my little stash from here. Um, I mean, I've been doing this one pre-workout in particular that has low caffeine and more like focused ingredients.
Yeah.
Um, so
What is
that's kind of. Oh, it's the first form 1 megawatt.
okay, I read
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of low in caffeine. It has like 150 milligrams per caffeine. I'm sorry, of caffeine per scoop.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's too much. So if you're not into caffeine like that, should be good. I do like a scoop and a half
Well,
to
I
put
think a
pretty much
good
there.
comparison like for that is like so 150 milligrams of like per scoop for that pre-workout or whatever. If you think
Yeah.
about like a Bang or an energy drink, like those are usually like 300 to 400. So
Yes.
those are super high. And then any like one cup of coffee is usually about 90 milligrams. We got
Um.
fans out here. I keep seeing like,
It's,
Bryan, you're the best. You're the best,
oh,
like Ecuadorian pro and stuff like that.
that's funny.
It's
I'll
awesome.
pay them later.
Later.
Um. What you call it? Oh, shoot, I forgot what I was saying.
I was just
Um.
saying about the milligrams of caffeine.
Right. The one thing about bangs, I think it doesn't hit you as hard. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the carbonation and that kind of messes with the ingredients itself and the efficiency of the ingredients. But like bangs don't hit me as hard as pre-workout does. Like if I was to take a pre-workout that has the exact same milligrams of caffeine as a bang, it doesn't hit the same. Like the pre-workout will always hit harder, for me at least.
I think it's the component of the other ingredients. So like it makes you jittery. At least me, it makes me
Hmm.
jittery, like, that kind of stuff. But they don't really have like the pump formulation. So like the nitric oxide or like, beetroot or like the
Yeah, yeah,
precursors that end up developing into nitric oxide, like they don't really have those components. So it's more of like a blood flow restrictor instead of like,
right. Yeah.
vasodilator. And those are the kind of things that at least for me, when I'm working out, like I notice like make a big difference and like I don't know, like, long term if it's actually helping me with mass, but it makes me in the moment feel like it is.
I
So,
I think it's more. There's other factors that are more important than that. Like the fact that it's so easy to grab one. You just like, and if it makes you feel good during your workout, I think that's more important than the small degree of differences like these ingredients can make. You know,
yeah.
so I
I
think
don't
you're
know
good.
about you, but for caffeine too, like I usually try to take a break and try, because it's like you build up a tolerance so quickly that I don't know, eventually it just stops working. So usually like every fourth week, I'll try to take a break.
Oh damn! You asking me to not take caffeine? Excuse
I'm
me.
not asking you. I'm just saying if you do, if you do.
uh, um, rarely.
Okay.
I mean, I've been prepping for the last 6 months.
Hmm.
I've been taking caffeine for 6 months,
Wow.
for sure. Like I will take a break. Honestly, I don't really plan those things ahead of time, or like I don't like I don't have this when it comes to caffeine in particular. I don't have a plan of like I'm gonna go on for the next 12 weeks. Then we'll take a break. It's more like when I remember. It's like,
Mhm.
or whenever I start feeling that the pre-workout doesn't hit the same.
Yeah.
But I also try to not overdo the caffeine. So like, for example, what I was saying, that pre-workout had, 150 per scoop, and I'm doing like a scoop and a half. So that puts me in like what, like 200-ish,
Yeah. Doing
which I don't think is
a
too
little
much.
over.
Yeah. So yeah, I suck at math. Uh,
We'll go
um,
with that.
so my caffeine content isn't really high. Plus, I don't really drink coffee throughout the day.
Hmm.
Um, the most caffeine I'll do is like really close to a show when I start doing the fat burners. So like, all the stimulants and fat burners plus the pre-workouts. I was probably getting, I want to say the last, oh shoot, no, because of the show that I did before, I want to say the last 5 weeks, over 500 milligrams of caffeine a day, easy, for
Wow.
sure. Oh yeah, yeah. So like after a show, it's not like I'm planning this out, but right after the show, it's like if I don't work out, I won't take a pre-workout, and I won't really do caffeine. So I mean, my caffeine content went down naturally because I'm not competing. I'm
Yeah.
not in peak week. So I'm like right at that 200-ish mark. But that's about it.
Are you going into 2023? Are you looking forward to anything that you have upcoming?
Uh,
Agree.
yes. There's two companies I have I'm talking to right now. There's one that's already like solidified. Um, just kind of like waiting for them to email me back, and then which is it's a meal prep company. So Clean Eats Kitchen. So we'll see how that goes. And then the second one, I'm gonna keep it a surprise.
Okay, sounds
Yes.
good. I'm excited. And then, you're a personal trainer and IFBB Pro, which is awesome. I keep saying that because I think it's so awesome.
It
Um,
hasn't it hasn't hit me yet, honestly. Like I'm still
I'm
like,
excited for you. I mean, like for me, someone who's been like, you know, working out for a really long time and been competing and stuff like that, like I don't think that people understand how difficult it is, especially in, physique, which is like that has a large amount of men that are going after the same thing. So,
it's I think it's the biggest category, to be honest. Like
yeah,
even looking at the Olympia, there was like 68 people in
well,
men's physique.
and that's 68 people, just for everyone to like kind of understand. That's like 68 people that qualified who are like the best of the best in the region. Like
Yeah,
they're top tier in the region and they're competing against everyone else internationally.
yeah,
And then they
yeah,
have to win, and then they have to win the top three spots overall. So
yeah.
it's definitely something to be proud of. Are you taking on new clients
Oh
or
yeah, yeah.
okay?
Yeah. So if anyone wants to hit me up, just DM or my email works. Uh, my DM is pages right here. Uh, email is just brianblasiofit@gmail.com. If anyone wants to just send me an email, gladly answer any questions you guys have. So
Okay, and then I think just want to answer this one question, avoiding those cortisol spikes from hunger. I mean, so I think caffeine like has to do a little bit with that. That's kind of why I like taking a break. And then also sleep is super important. And then that's
yeah,
actually why I like doing frequent meals, even in season or off season, because it's like it's keeping you consistent and it's not allowing you to like dip down so low that your motivation ends up being depleted and then you want to go for something that isn't necessarily the best choice. But you tell me what you think about that.
um, I mean, it depends on the goal, really. So I feel like the hunger is gonna be there regardless. If you're cutting down, if you're cutting down and you're feeling hungry, you're supposed to feel hungry. You're cutting down, you know. But yeah, I agree. Avoiding unnecessary struggle should be part of someone's plan. So
Hmm.
yeah, like sleeping more. Sleep is huge when it comes to the hunger stuff. Like if you don't sleep well one night, you will start having cravings for
Hmm.
sure, just because you didn't sleep as much. Um, Also, spacing out your meals can help for sure too. Keeping your water intake high, that can just help in general for literally everything. Everything your body does, water can help in some degree.
So
And
I have
then,
a lot of, I don't know, do you have like patients that I have because I work like sports med ortho, like there's a lot of overweight patients and like
mhm.
sometimes they're obese and like one thing that I always like to tell them, so water definitely increases satiety. It also increases your metabolism. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I read an article, it was like 2017 or whatever, but just drinking 500 mLs first thing in the morning increases your metabolism by 30%. So that's
Jeez.
pretty significant for you just to start off your day, have a tall glass of water, and you're already putting yourself out on the right step.
Oh yeah, for sure. Feeling better too.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you guys want to talk to Bryan more about kind of his journey, or you're interested in working with him as a client, he has such a wealth of knowledge, and he's really, really great just, as a person, as an individual, and also as a professional. So go ahead and head over to his page and contact him. And if there's anything we didn't touch on, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing from you guys. So that's it.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Bye.
See you guys.